Hey there. How the heck are you? Richard Cameron here. You know that because you're on this Facebook Live. Yeah, coming to you via this other service called StreamYard. Anyways, yeah, title, Who's Your Coach? You know, this is important. This is something that I didn't finish up on a couple of weeks ago, but it has everything to do with this Facebook. By the way, leave a note. Where you coming in from, who you are, what's happening. The reason I ask that is because it's important to have that dialogue between people, particularly if there's something of interest to you there. Anyways, who's your coach? Yeah, this. A couple of weeks ago, I brought this up. A whole thing of having competent people around when you mess up so that you get out of it and still stay on your proven mission or your mission for what you're setting out to accomplish. In that particular case, we're setting out to accomplish bringing some meat back to the village of Black Lake. And after the kerfluffle and about freezing and to death and getting all warmed up and the next day going, yep, we ran into that caribou herd that we heard about, and we're able to bring back several hundred pounds of meat to the village, and there was great celebration. Anyways, I got thinking about that today because I was out being the mighty hunter of chipmunks. Yeah. Fall's coming. I got too many around the house. They just create a mess in the fall time. They get into all kinds of nonsense. So some live traps arrived via Amazon yesterday, and I put them to work. And so far, I've put 3 some distance away from the house. So, I mean, when I say some distance. So I don't think it'll find their way back, and I'll just keep working on that for the next few days and just kind of wrap that whole thing up. The mighty hunter. From moose and caribou and bear and things and that to chipmunks. Yep, that's the way things change. But anyways, yeah, so coaching. So what's that about? You know, in today's world, one of the things we see over and over again, and I'm sure you've seen it, is, you know, what's become very, you know, the running joke around, you know, anybody who's accomplishing anything, all the people suddenly are the weekend life coaches. And, you know, coaching by its very nature is something you need to take pretty seriously because it is one of those things that can make a huge change in your life. And it's not some certification, but literally it's typically a journey that people have made, perhaps where they have really got themselves in a world of hurt and have climbed back out, climbed themselves out, got out, climbed out, got them out, and got them rolling. And so their particular journey is one in which they can share and give perspective to and help people go. So in my life, I've had a lot of different coaches in business, in athletics, in relationships. Yeah. And it's funny, but you sort of then transcend them and you continue to grow and to build that side of it. And what's really a shame is right now, as I sit here, yeah, I've got a small mastermind group, but I really don't have a coach. And it's like a thing. Yeah, I need to step it up another notch. And so that's one of the things that I'm doing. But that doesn't mean that all the things that I do doesn't have benefit to other people as they're coming along in their journey in pieces. My life has been an epic adventure. And anybody who knows me knows that. It has been and continues to be an epic adventure, but on a different sort of energy level these days. You know, I'm not living in the subarctic. I'm not running up to the top of mountains. I'm not running through Death Valley. We're down through the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Done all that, but not doing that these days. But what I am doing is helping move people from a place of complacency and mediocrity to magnificence and energy, and that side of it. And what I bring that up because, you know, oftentimes those resources or things can be channeled and shortcut for some other folks. I'm going back through this book again. It's absolutely amazing book. John C. Maxwell, if you don't know who he is, go look him up, okay? But this little book has got so much wisdom in it, it isn't funny. And this, of course, comes back to how successful people think. And part of that, I just marked this piece up, but I just thought, you know, this is just great. And it was a quote from Napoleon Hill and what he observed. And his quote was, "More gold has been mined from the thoughts of man than have ever been taken from the earth." When you take the time to learn how to change your thinking and become a better thinker, you have invested in yourself. Gold mines tap out. Stock markets crash. Real estate investments can go sour, but a human mind with the ability to think well is like a diamond mine that never runs out. It's priceless. And that's the thing. It's absolutely priceless. And why do I always come back to this whole thing of law of association? Because what happens oftentimes is people end up only reaching a level of their close associated groups. And it's a shame that some of the things I see these days where, really talented, you can see the things inside the people are still confined and living inside the shelter of their parents, that they look to getting some sort of a attaboy from their mom or their dad because they said that, when you grow up, you should be like this. And oftentimes their whole thing about should be like this is based within their framework. And now I'm not saying that this is something you discount or discard your parents. That's not the thing. The point being is you grow beyond and so far beyond, and you stand on the shoulders of giants. Okay. You get up another level and you continue to grow and you continue to build. And the way you do that is not by discarding people that you know or that you have tremendous affection and love for. It's about bringing other people into your circle. People that are achieving, people that have not allowed the death of dreaming to take place, people who have some degree of competence in respect to where they're going and how they're going to get there, and if it aligns with you. Again, as I said, my life's been an epic adventure, but it hasn't been all lollipops and roses and wonderfulness. There's been all kinds of nonsense. I've seen people that I really cared for that aren't alive anymore because they did I call it the death spiral. That you end up, leaving those associations of people because you can see sort of the things that they're doing and they're sort of swirling around the toilet bowl. Tremendous potential in them, but potential that was never realized because they sort of succumbed to the easy. They succumb to the pleasure centers of whatever the things they're doing was doing. And that many of those things, yes, fun is a real important aspect of life, but it has to be in congruence with other things you're doing and not destructive, right? I think you'd agree with that. Not destructive, but in a powerful way that people can see themselves growing to build. And so I come back to that and say, look, I'm not here soliciting, your interest in what I do. All I'm doing is calling out to perhaps the thing, that inner person that's inside you, that thing that is rumbling around a little bit, that piece that that you've been keeping suppressed. One of my early coaches, and of course, and I am more, but he would say, and this is in business, they don't ask people to change. And I knew at that point that was just totally wrong information. I said, don't change, just continue to do what you've always done, I said, no, you have to change your thinking. You must change your thinking. You must look beyond about where you are and know that you've got to do some things that you haven't done before to get to places you've never been before. That's the thing. And it's so important to understand that. Yes, you can use the talents and the skills that you have today as sort of a little perch, a little thing to allow you to climb a little bit extra rung as you're learning other skills in order to bring more value, not just to your life, but to value to other people's lives around you. Because I tell you, if you help enough people get what they want out of life, you're going to get anything that you want out of life. But sometimes you don't have those skills yet because you haven't been around that circle of people that allow you to do it. I see that a lot with athletes. Athletes will be focused on a particular area of life. I call it the 7 F's, right? Fitness, finances, family, field, as in field of endeavor, okay, faith, friends, and fun. Those are the 7 areas. And there's no such thing as perfect balance with those 7 F's, by the way. There's no such thing as perfect balance. balance. They're all sort of wobbly up there, like the sticks with the plates on them, right? And they're all sort of wobbling. You got to go around and keep the spin going. And there's no particular order of one thing being more than the other. But the thing being is many people, because they have an affinity for one or two of those areas, that's where they focus all their time. Now, I come back to athletes oftentimes because that is a big part of my life and has been, where I'll see athletes focus on that endeavor and the people around them. I'll call it the coaches and their other, call it compatriots and team members and such, all focusing on that one thing. So it's always just that one thing, always just that one thing. Okay, always. That's not good. Okay. Yes, there has to be focus on your goals and objectives, but it's not good if it is at the expense of all the other F's. How many families have I seen just get torn apart because of a person's particular obsession in one particular area? And I'm not just athletes. Sometimes it has to do with field of endeavor, the things that they're working on, or fun. They're just so obsessed with fun, right? That sort of thing. Some people just so obsessed with faith that they can't see the other parts of the things that they're doing. So, what a discussion I had this weekend with someone with, as I call it, that law of association, right? So they're totally confused. I'm saying, who have they been around their entire life? I mean, this person was in their mid-20s, and I'm thinking, who have they been around? Because they were convinced that money is something that's just magic. It just comes out of nowhere, that the government just prints it and there's money. And so money is just going to come flow. And why doesn't the government just print more money and I'll get it? I mean, economic 101 to know that money is an exchange of value, not a printing of paper. An exchange of value on that side of it. And very anti-capitalist. Until I pointed out, money is not the root of, money is the root of all philanthropy. Okay, money is the root of all employment. That capital comes from people comes from people who have taken risk with that dollars, which is an just exchange of energy and an exchange of value and such, and gone and multiplied it into an environment that provides people with some good services, something along that line. That's it. So a real estate project that this household is involved in, Pauline is really heading it up. But I mean, I can't tell you how many people are involved on that work site every day. Electricians, framers, plumbers, concrete people. I was by it today, roofers. There were designers and architects involved, a lot of things. I'll take a picture of it sometime, or I'll do a video going through there. But it's really been a cute little endeavor. And it's just something that's on the side. But the point being is that I see this and I see these folks and I see how their families are going to get fed. And I put all those pieces together and I look at it and say, this was risk from folks bringing other people together to take the time and use their talents to grow and to build and feed their families. The question is from so many of these folks, how are they going to take that sort of talent and ability and now start to multiply it in other areas away from maybe what they're doing on a 9-to-5 basis? Yeah. So I come back to this piece, right? So let's talk about a coach there. In that particular case, I'm with a man, a Native man, Ben, heck of a human being. And of course, I ran into trouble there and I put myself in that trouble, and I had somebody there to pull me out of the fire, except it wasn't fire in this case, pull me out of the ice and the cold and keep from freezing to death. But we still had an objective, and we continued on with the objective, as I said, and we found the caribou and we're able to bring it back, right? But you know what? I had to get outside my comfort zone on that because, I had never field dressed a caribou, and I had never field dressed a caribou at 30 below or whatever the heck it was, 40 below. I'd never done that. Did that keep me from doing it? No. I had some rudimentary skills and ability to be able to use my knife, but I'd never done it. So what I did, I had a coach there. I had a coach, a hands-on, a person there helping me discover how to do this and how to do it in a hurry. so that we could dress these things up, get them packed on our toboggans. Yeah, when we got back to the village, they were pretty much frozen solid. But the bottom line is I learned something that day. I learned something about humanity. I learned something about staying on purpose. I learned something about survival. I learned something about skinning or field dressing a caribou. I learned all that. I got another story about that, about eating caribou head, but that's a story for a different day. But I come back to this book about how successful people think. And it's so full of wisdom. I mean, books like this aren't things that you just read. Books like this are things that you study. And you study it more than once. And you come back to it and you look and you pick up another piece and things. And it's little pieces like that that I'm able to share with people that are looking to move their life forward. To be fit, to be financially sound, right? To have an alternate field of endeavor, like an additional one. Okay. To encourage people to look inside themselves for their sort of spiritual sense, to honor and respect and to love their spouse and their family, to not neglect the whole thing of fun. Yeah. To look at your circle of people that surround you, that fellowship, those friends, that sort of thing, and make sure that you are improving that circle on a continual basis, not to discount, not to throw people away, but literally to improve and to grow and to build yourself in amazing ways. And that's what I do. Yes, sir, Bob. But you don't make people do that. People have to decide they want to do that. People have to decide they want to be fit and financially sound, have strong families, grounded in faith. Look for the fun things that they can do. Not at the expense of everything else, but certainly for the fun things they can do, certainly. And I mean, we go into that over and over. So this whole group of people that's put together, I don't think that'll really kick off big time until the beginning of the year. I don't. As I said, it'll just be a few people that decide that they're going to be part of that sort of group, okay, kind of like Train the Trainer group. But in the meantime, I invite everybody to look at how they can take their first steps starting now for fitness. I don't mean fitness like, hey, I saw some guy with a ponytail about this big with some magic gazelle sort of deal, nonsense, or another Thigh Master thing or some sort of cabbage soup diet sort of thing. I'm talking about overall general vigor and vitality, optimal immune response, optimal cellular renewal, optimal living. Okay, on that side. Also, from that standpoint of finances on two sides, both on the field, in other words, how capital is generated, and the other side of finances, how capital is preserved. So how capital is generated and how capital is preserved. Because from that, your life can explode in magnificent ways when you have the options of your time, your 168 hours a week. If you have a desire and to grab back hold of that time so that you can take your talents and abilities, whatever those are today and whatever they're going to grow into, then we got stuff to talk about. Okay? I hope so. I hope that's okay with you. Okay. So if you're interested, you're going to drop me a note or you're going to do something along that line. Say, yeah, tell me more, whatever goes on. If you're not, that's okay. Okay, you're a human being. You're big people. You can figure out if where you are today is going to change if you keep doing exactly the things you've been doing. Yeah. I'm not saying that I have all the answers. I sure as hell don't, but I do know that as I continue to improve and look at the circles and the people and the things that I associate with and look at how we all can grow through our own respective perspectives. And it's amazing things that happens. So you don't have to come with anything more than a burning desire to own your dash. And what is the dash? One more time. The day that you started on this planet and the day that you leave this planet, if you look on any gravestone, you'll see a little dash in between. And that represents what you did between those dates. Okay, so that's it from Cap Cameron Inside Today. Hope all else is well with everybody. Drop a note. Okay, take care. Be well. Bye-bye, I think. Bye-bye. Yeah.